Hi folks, Joseph Kursky here with you to talk about 3 different ways to bring in current and historical USGS topographic map data into a mapping web environment, okay, so that you can do analysis and interact with these resources. Method number 1, ArcGIS.com, ArcGIS Online. I'm going to sign in. Why? Because I want to access some layers, some content from the living atlas of the world. So I go to ArcGIS Online. I have to log in because I'm going to access that premium content, but once I do, then I'm all set to go. I'm there, I'm in my organizational account, I click on Map, and then I'm going to zoom to a certain area that I want to maybe study, Apple Valley, California. So an area of high growth, and I'm going to be able to see some changes across the landscape. Okay, so here we've got Apple Valley. Add to map notes. Great. Now I've got a place mark on there. Method number 1. I'm going to use the Add button. I'm going to add layers from the Living Atlas, Browse Living Atlas layers. I'm going to search here for USGS topographic. I'm going to add the USGS topo maps to my map. So now that's the latest and greatest USGS topographic map. Now I'm going to go to USGS historical, and there's my historical USGS map layer. Or set of layers, actually. It's a whole bundle of things going back in time. Okay, great. So I've got those 2 things on there. Now if I zoom in, I'm going to see some amazing things. Some of it's kind of grim because you can see how the landscape has changed in a short amount of time. I'm going to go back to the layers themselves. Now I've got my map node on there. And you probably know what's coming next, right? I can make these layers transparent. So if I do that, I can see the USGS current topo map as well as the base layer in ArcGIS Online, which is even newer than that. That's the ESRI map layer, streets layer behind the topo. There's the topo. I can click on this map. I'm going to turn on the historical. Look at how small Victorville, Apple Valley was just truly a rural area. And this is the Apple Valley North topo from 1970. We have others available in here with Apple Valley North 1978. That's another video where I teach you how to figure out how to access the historical layers that are not the default. Right? This is the default, the 1970, but you can access those other years if you'd like to. Separate video for that. The other method, method 2, is I start with Living Atlas of the world, so livingatlas.arcgis.com. And if I search Living Atlas, if I scroll to Base Maps, and in Base Maps, I can go ahead to Historical. Inside the Base Maps, now look, I've got access to the USGS historical topos at a variety of different scales. So if I go here, then, open in Map Viewer. I can go ahead and open it in the Map Viewer. It's going to go to a separate tab, and here I'm going to log in with my ArcGIS Online credentials. I can go to Apple Valley again, and now I've got Add to Map Notes. Now I've basically got what I had before, but I started with Living Atlas. So sometimes it's easier to start with Living Atlas because you've got a whole browsable library of stuff at your fingertips. As you saw, I'm looking at the historical topos, but look, you've got boundaries, imagery, a whole library of stuff here at your fingertips, ecoregions, ocean currents, forest lands, population change, natural hazards, energy, water, etc. So that's method 2. Start with the Living Atlas and then make your map from that. Then the third method will come in handy for not just historical topo maps, a variety of other layers outside of historical topo maps. And that is to actually use the URL for the map service. So let's say you go out to a city or county website and they've got a map service out there with a URL that's actually a service. You can bring that into ArcGIS Online. For additional analysis. So you can use the ArcGIS Online tools, the analysis tools, and you can also bring it into ArcGIS Pro for hundreds more analysis tools with that service URL. So let's do that. In order to do that, I'm going to go to the same example that we've been using up to this point. I'm going to go to this historical USGS topo layer. So here's my layer. Now right here is the URL. It's the service URL. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, or I can even use the copy tool right here. And then inside my map, I'm going to remove these other layers that I had in here before. Yes, because I want to start over with just the topo base. Okay, now I can have different base maps in there, of course. I can have an imagery with labels and so on and so forth. But now I want to add, this time instead of browsing the Living Atlas layers, you probably know what's coming next. And that is, yeah, we're going to add layer from web because we've got a URL as a map service layer. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there. You may wonder why use it as a base map? Well, if you want to replace the existing base map. In this case, I want to compare the existing modern base map to these USGS topo maps. So I don't want to use it as a base map, but if you did, you could just check that box. Okay, we're going to add that layer. And a good illustration of this is, let's go to El Paso. I'm going to add that to map notes. If I scroll into El Paso, I'm going to have some historical topo maps that will be fascinating to review. So let's pan over here, and now let's take a look at, oh, look at that. I've got access to a 1908 topographic map. Let's keep going here. Let's play the animation and a more recent topo map in 1994. So I've got some 1960s, some 1970s, and some 1994. Fascinating to look at these changes. Look at this going way back in time. You can see how small El Paso was, which is, of course, where the downtown area is right now, way back when. Wow, look at that. Before I-10 was there, etc. You may wonder why this is broken right here at this point. Well, that's a separate topo map. That's the one to the west of El Paso. Point is, you've got 3 different ways of bringing in these layers, not just the historical topo maps layer, but go to ArcGIS.com, ArcGIS Online, and add from the Living Atlas. Or alternatively, go to the Living Atlas, browse for your content, and add it to ArcGIS Online. And the third way is to get the actual URL for the map service, which goes way beyond ArcGIS Online Living Atlas. You can look at map services that other organizations have hosted if they have a REST endpoint map service that ArcGIS Online can read. So 3 different ways, 3 different capabilities, all good. No one size fits all, but hopefully one of those will meet your needs for your own project in teaching, research, and analysis. Thanks.